Hey everybody, welcome to the stream. We are going to get going in about 15 minutes. Just going to try and touch base with Justin now, get him in for a bit of an audio check in a couple of minutes. But yeah, video starts 15 minutes. Hey everybody, how are we doing in the chat? We've got Justin here. Hello Justin, how are you?
Hello mate, I'm very good, thank you. How are you?
I'm all right, yes. Staying very busy. Have you played any disc golf recently?
I have actually, yes. I played on, what day is it? Friday. I played on Tuesday with Matt Parslow.
Nice.
It was my third round of lockdown and maybe my fourth round ever. And it's getting to that stage where kind of like expecting to improve and want to get good, but I don't feel you can really get good just by playing a couple of rounds. So it's a frustrating stage, but it's still quite rewarding when things sort of start to go well every now and again.
Yeah, it's pretty. I mean, I suppose if you do a round, then it's like you only get to throw like 60 or 70 times or whatever. So it's pretty sparse practice.
Or like 300.
Yeah, 300 the first time.
It's just a bit frustrating doing a round because you obviously throw one disc and then it obviously doesn't go anywhere where you expected, and then the chance that you have exactly the same disc that you can retry and learn, you can't really. So you just have to really remember, and then you might not use that disc for another 3 holes, and you're like, oh, what happened last time, or what? Yeah. So yeah, it's, driving ranges for disc golf are needed.
Indeed. Yeah, it's getting used to all those. Getting used to the outside in you got to put on the disc as well, which I guess isn't really outside in. Yeah. It's just you actually have to throw it flat for the first time in your life, and it's like, yeah, but it feels so outside.
Like, I was playing one of these holes with Matt, and it was sort of like a dog leg round to the right, and he said, "Yeah, throw a forehand and put roll curve on it." And I was like, "No, man, I can't even do myself to do that."
Yeah, whenever I go forehand with disc golf disc, it's like I'm knifing it to the floor. And then
it goes against everything we've learned for like the past 10, 12 years or however long we've been playing Ultimate, and it's kind of I can only really imagine that it's bad for Frisbee and vice versa. Well, not vice versa, because obviously it's quite transferable, but you just have to completely take your mind away from how you expect it to act.
Yeah. If you lose your focus, then suddenly you're like 30 meters off to the left.
Yeah, and I guess what the most annoying thing is a lot of these holes start. Well, this course that I've been playing, a lot of these holes start with like tiny little gaps, like 5 yards across, and they're about 15, 20 yards away from the tee. And then if you don't get through them, it's like it just ruins the hole.
Yeah. Just straight. I did one the other day straight into the bush, and then had to like take another shot, trying to get back out and round so that I've got a line again.
Yeah, it's just a frustrating game as a beginner.
Indeed.
And actually probably as always if you miss those putts.
Yeah. All right, anyway. Cool. We're going to go live in about 1 minute. So I'll just turn off the mics and do the final prep, and we'll see everybody in a minute. Okay, everybody, we are about to go live. I've done a little bit of tweaking of the audio, so hopefully it should sound a bit better. Alt tab over to the screen now, because here we go. Hello, everybody. Welcome to the stream. I am Felix from Felix Ultimate. I'm joined today by a legend in the UK scene, and I would say the person with the best eyes in Ultimate. It's Justin Foord. How are you, Justin?
Oh, Felix, you flatter me. 2 lies to begin with, but I'll take both of them.
How's lockdown life treating you?
Lockdown's been okay, actually. I think compared to a lot of how a lot of people have had lockdown and how their lives have changed, I think I'm quite fortunate. Well, I feel quite fortunate anyway, but certainly looking forward to getting back to a bit more normality next week.
You've been doing a bit of, I've kind of seen on Instagram, you've been doing a bit of like personal training type stuff with like classes on Zoom or something?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so doing a lot of stuff online and a lot of online programming for people trying to stay fit at home, with their various equipment. So a lot of customized programs for people just trying to stay fit and sort of get ready for when the gyms reopen and everyone can get back to doing what they want, really.
That's happening soon, right? And so you're getting back to work?
Next Saturday, hopefully. As long as things don't go Pete Tong by then. Yeah. For about another week or so.
Yeah, we'll see how long it lasts as well. Hopefully it will last, but everything's a bit uncertain when you look more than a couple of weeks into the future at the moment.
This is true.
Cool. So we've got, if anyone hasn't seen this stream before, it's like an analysis stream. So instead of like a watch party where you just kind of, the footage plays and people kind of talk, this is actually like, we'll see a point of the possession and then we'll rewind it and see what happened in that possession. And I'll draw all over the screen to try and highlight stuff. And then me and Justin will chat as well. And if we get sidetracked, and that's fun. So it's all kind of a nice casual pace. And you suggested this GB versus Germany 2015 final. Can you tell me why you suggested this game?
Well, it was either this. I feel like the amount of content nowadays on online for free, sort of outside of fancy, is quite limited, and there's probably only 2 games I know that are just full games on YouTube, and it's this or the GB Sweden one. Back from 2012, the semi-final at Worlds, and I think, they pretty much played zone all game. So I think maybe save that for when Colonel wants to do it, because I think that was just that was the Dan Fennell show, really.
Really,
and,
okay.
I think it was not just the most exciting game to watch, because I'm pretty sure fairly most of the points were zone, whereas I think this game there was almost no zone because the conditions were so good and so still for the whole game. So
yeah,
and then the other ones are sort of Clapham and Bologna at Windmill, which I think people might have seen quite a fair amount of, or there's been enough sort of talk about all those games. And
yeah, maybe, and also like Windmill's like a fun tournament, so there's probably less interest. This is like European final 2015.
I guess so. Yeah.
The European finals only happen once every 4 years. 2011, we were actually playing on the same team together, GB versus Sweden.
We were the infamous final.
Infamous, yeah, with Cheatham McDropson, or Dropson McCheatson, however you wish to call him.
Yeah. I think I was talking to Ravi actually the other day, or a couple of weeks ago, and I still don't really put that loss of that game down to that incident. I still feel like we weren't quite up to it, and I don't feel even if he wouldn't have scored that point, I'm still not convinced whether we would have gone on to win that game.
Yeah.
It wasn't like Universe point where he made that catch and then they won the game. It was in the first half, and I know it was quite a key point, but
it's the first break.
Was it the first break? Yeah, I still wouldn't put the loss down to that. Although maybe you never know, actually, do you? But
yeah, some people say it was a travel beforehand, or that it wasn't a travel and they just got called back, but it was actually a travel beforehand. I don't know if you
actually even caught it.
Yeah, really? I guess
his brother, I think, said that.
Right. I guess people say a lot of things, don't they? Especially in this day and age. Okay, well, yeah, I mean, that there's some memories from that game which are best left. There's another game after the next year's Sweden game, the final, which is probably the least said about the better. But then 2015, final versus Germany. We could start watching immediately, and maybe you tell us who you faced in the semi-final.
Yeah, so I feel like this Euros final was sort of between. It was very similar to the 2019. There's sort of us and Germany, who always seemed to be a little bit above, sort of one step above all the other teams. So it was kind of an expected final, though secretly we were hoping that Germany would slip up. I think they played Belgium in the semis, and Belgium went on a bit of a roll. Or was it Belgium? Some other team. But they went on a bit of a roll, and we were always sort of like hoping for that upset, which didn't come. So it was no surprise, really, to get us both in the final. I think we had France, which took us to a really close semi-final. I think that was like 9-all or 10-all. And then we went on to win, I think, 15-10 or something. So that was a pretty tough game, the semis. Well, the first half was anyway, and then luckily we just walked away with it. But yeah, we always knew that very minimum we wanted to do was to get to this game, and obviously, we're aiming to win, and we thought and we knew that we were as good, if not better, than Germany.
How many of the German players were bad skid?
Oh, you know what? I'm not hugely great on telling you which players play for bad skid and which players play for some of the other German teams inside racket. I think we just looked at some of the key players. So, Holger, Nico, Phil Haas, Tiro. So, yeah, there was probably just the 5 or 6 players that at that time were our main concerns. I think now you'd probably look at 9 or 10 of those players on those teams and you'd be like, okay, let's watch out for these people. Let's watch out for these people. But even 4 years ago, was quite a lot of these players have come a long way, and they're much more accomplished players than they were 4 or 5 years ago. So I think we had to worry about a fair few, but I couldn't tell you exactly actually.
That offense looks really safe,
Yeah, I think like so many times. I think first of all one of the main things we spoke about before this game was treasuring the disc, and I think when the conditions are so still like that, you're not really forced into throwing anything. You've got 10 seconds to make a throw to anyone. I think it was just a matter of being patient, and I think we spoke about the importance of putting that first one in, getting off to a good start, not doing anything silly, and just waiting to get the right shots. I think it was 26 passes or something in total.
Really?
And they really absolute perfect way to start the game.
Yeah, they only completed it like 2 or 3 passes, and then there was a simple miscommunication or like an overthrow on their turnover.
Yeah, it might have been something to do with it's a pretty big stage in terms of like European Ultimate, outside of sort of like the windmill finals. But in terms of like, going in the tunnel and it being like a bit of an event as opposed to just a final with a bit of a crowd, there probably weren't too many people even on that whole field who had done that before.
Right, okay.
So I feel like maybe that first point was quite unusual and uncharacteristic. They're a little bit jittery. And just fortunately we started on D, I guess. So it was a nice little turnaround of the flip.
Do you normally choose offense or defense?
I'd always choose defense for a club team, and for games that we're expecting to win. I shouldn't really say this, but I'd always choose defense. Pretty much anywhere except for against US teams.
Yeah, I was going to say
just
when
because,
do you not expect
as Clapham, we're and I guess GB against a lot of the teams, you're always expected to win. So if it's sort of 6-all in the first half, you think that's really tight and you're absolutely battling to win the half. So say you take the half 8-6 or 8-7 or whatever it might be, then you come out and 0 and then 9-7, and that's when we get a lot of teams start to lose the belief. Whereas if it's 6-all and you're still battling, and say you take half 8-7, you still got to go back out on and D, and then you can just be tied up at 8. So I like to get a lot of the hard work done in the first half when the game is tighter, or a point tighter. So yeah, I've always chosen D as the favourites. But yeah, those those American teams are, because they do go so close to Y. I would always take O against an American team, I think.
All right, now before we talk about this play, you're a cat fan, aren't you?
I love cats.
All right, I've got my cat up on the stream right now, but I realise that you're watching through Discord, so you probably can't see the Rookam in action.
I can't.
She keeps turning away from it. You say what?
Send me a picture.
Send me a picture. Okay, I'll do like a screen grab and put it in Discord. She keeps turning away from the camera. Maybe she wants some commission or something. She normally gets biscuits, but that's only when people donate, so it's kind of a bit out of my hands. Hint, hint.
Where's the donate button? Oh yes, looking good, Ruby, looking good.
Oh, she's just settled down. Settled her head down. Okay, let's have a look at this point.
Yeah, so I started playing this game. My plan was, I've been playing on O and D, and Mum, who was sort of like, or Tom Abrams was was sort of the stalwart on the D line, would sort of run the D line offense. I decided, as he was injured, he was quite badly injured through this tournament. That hurt my knee a lot, by the way. And I thought, for some reason, I thought we need to try and win this game on D. Whereas, when games go this long, particularly in finals, like games are often won on offense, and just being able to consistently put them in and sort of ask other teams to consistently put theirs in. So I started the game first 2 or 3 points on defense, and I guess I wanted to shut. To be honest, it was probably a bad matchup because there's plenty of other players who, like Ollie, who's played against Holger, so probably knows him a little bit better. Like me and Holger normally both on O, so we don't actually play too much about. We know each other's games, but I think I just bit too much on the under. I wasn't expecting that throw to go, and I kind of backed myself that if it did go, I'd be able to get it. I felt pretty fast at the time.
Yeah, well, I mean, the amount of separation that he's got when you guys come into shot isn't really that significant. So it's definitely like a trust throw.
Yeah, and that's why, like, I was a bit annoyed that it went and then I didn't get it.
Yeah, you took the better line, and then you caught up to be within like 1 foot of the disc. So I think that's a sensible gamble, because if you just cover him deep the whole time, then he just gets a disc under. So in terms of like shots that they have to take, I think that's not a bad one. If they have to do that every single point, you're probably in a good place.
Yeah. I guess I also wasn't expecting the first throw Huck to go that early on in the game. Maybe that was a bit naive of me, but yeah. Sorry about that. Sorry, Holger.
No, this hurt your knee more than it hurt him.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, I just thought at that point I had to get up, and I didn't want that sort of to be the tone of the game, so I just thought I'd get up and pretend it didn't hurt, and then walk back and see if I could sneak on to an O point.
Okay, let's get some interaction with the chat going. That's I didn't mention at the beginning of the stream, but that's also like a big part of what we're doing. There's a question for you, which I'll read to you, and then I'll read some of the other chat.
Just open up that chat, yeah.
So Noah asks, do you think you'll take O against Cusp if you face them at Euros again? I'll just go through the rest of the chat while you think about that. Jem Hammerstein, Lord Felix trying to figure out how to say that I love zone. I do like playing offense against the zone. I think my style of play probably, I don't know about my style of play. I'm not sure, but like Colonel as a handler, I think that's kind of a similar kind of position to what I potentially could be if I was, at the top of my game. And I do love playing against Bit of Zone. You know, I like the different ways you can beat it and stuff like that. Kind of figuring it out. What the other? Arthur says, poor Mark. Going past that one. Rue's feeling shy. Yes, she is. And Noah pointed that out as well. Benji says that GB took O in the 2019 EUC final.
Yeah, that would have been Briggsy's decision. And also I'd probably say I'd want to say like because the conditions were pretty still as well. But yeah, like, you know, the amount of times I've played games, and even if I've had nothing to do with any sort of leadership or captaincy, I've always been like, especially in the semis or finals, I've always like sort of ran over to when the two captains are deciding who takes O and D, just to like stick my nose in and be like, tell our captain like take D or take O. I think it's quite important. It's a very important part of the game. It can set, like, you can win or lose a game in the first 3 points. Like with a really strong wind, I'd always just take the downwind. The downwind end is going to be turns anyway. But yeah, against Bologna, I think we'd probably Clapham would take offense, but I'd still be inclined to do take D.
Okay.
It takes a little less pressure on. It gives you a bit more separation if you come out strong in the second half, or no.
Yeah, for sure. Arto pointed out that it could possibly have been a zipper play by the Germans.
Yeah. From what I remember, it's exactly what it was, yeah.
Nice spot, Arto.
Yeah. Which is probably why I bit too much on the under.
Many times. Bam, bam, bam. Okay, next point. Get the commentary on again.
I barely even realized it.
Briggs does the offense. Yeah.
So GB's Cheeseman looking to fit it in, finding Jamie
That's
Cross.
true, right?
Oh, sorry, yeah.
Briggs does love offense.
Yeah, I think Briggsy just wanted to go out and launch a flick up off the go and just make a statement. So I think that he probably just can't wait to get on the pitch. That's probably why he chooses O, because he doesn't want to wait a whole point. That's a great throw from Jamie. There wasn't much separation, but just with that sort of edge over to the break side, even with the defender in, without any separation with the defender and the receiver, like that's got to go. And Shuey's probably, well, at that time, he's just I think he's probably actually one of the best deep cutters certainly I've ever played with.
He always kind of makes it look easy, even when like the disc is out the side of the field and he has to do some kind of bat it in greatest. If anyone can find that clip from Windmill, that'd be a great one to show. German defense here is pretty good because they, you know, all the GB players are in this area here, essentially, the way I see it, and then the dump cutter is then like forced to also go up line, right?
Yeah, I mean, this is just like purely down to Stefan and Stefan watching us and knowing that all we like to do is bust up the line and then someone from downfield comes back, which is exactly why Mark is no around. Like, he's making us throw the IO throws, and both those defenders know that anything round we're gonna lose yards. That IO is almost a no throw, and that's just like Stefan, the strategist and the tactician, knowing how we like our reset. So yeah, it was there was a lot of grindy throws, and I think with any sort of like different weather conditions in this game, like those throws that Lloyd or that Ash makes up line there becomes a lot harder. Downwind or upwind or even crosswind.
All right, I got a subscriber, Eric Blackburn. Thanks for subscribing, Eric. That music, I hope that jingle is a good volume for everyone. I know, Justin, you probably can't hear it.
I cannot hear a jingle.
But it was incredibly loud for me, so as soon as the jingle starts, I just can't hear what the co-host is saying at all. It does mean that it's Biscuit's time to brew, so you just have to excuse us a minute, Justin, as the jingle was quite loud. Right, I'll adjust that.
Biscuit's time to reply to Aaron's comment. And in response, Aaron, I think I'm not sure whether the games are always that evenly matched for 3/4 of the game. Sometimes in national finals there are, but I think you said it. I think for me, I don't think it's fitness so much. I think it's squad depth. Being able to put sort of the bottom half of your roster on a line and then still be able to go out and get a break or get a D and put one in. I think that's the difference between playing through sort of 20 people on the squad and playing through sort of like a core 14 or even 10 where, and actually it might be fitness of the top players. So if there's a couple of teams, they have like squads of 15 or 16 and they play through 10 to 12. I think a lot of the top players on those teams feel like they can win it between them against us, and then they sort of burn out in the first half, get excited. And a lot of those games do go, pretty evenly all the way through to half. But once the top players who are sort of carrying the team burn out or mistakes, that if you're seeing that much of the disc, there will be mistakes. Whereas I think with a deeper squad, you can just stick to your roles a little bit more. But yeah, I wouldn't say so much 3/4 of the game. Although sometimes that's true. Certainly in Europe, I guess 3/4 of the game is more realistic. But maybe not so much within the UK. You alive, Felix?
Yeah, I'm alive. I'm just listening. I'm thinking about when Mohawks won nationals the first time, and we took like 10 players, I think, and then only 8 people played in the final. And it was around the time when everyone was going crazy, being like, yeah, we should have like 18 people on our squad, and you should bring like 16 so that you got 2 lines of 8 that you can switch over O&D. And we were like, these 8 players are good, let's just win with them.
Yeah. I think ultimately it comes down to the other team, or the team. It's probably more so teams make mistakes than anything else. And like I said, that normally comes from playing too much or seeing too much of the disc.
Arto asked, did Clapham play at US Open in the past?
Clapham. We've played. We've gone a couple of times to Clapham. A couple of times at Clapham, I think a couple of times at GB, maybe 3 times in total or so. But yeah, that's one time when we'd always probably choose to start the game on O, because you go down against American team and it can be very tough to come back. But yeah, US Open's a real good sort of learning experience for everyone, all the way through the roster.
What's your so you've played in US as well, or Canada rather, with is it Goat? Yeah.
Goat, yeah.
And have you've had some ADL experience as well, right?
Yeah, I played a couple of years in the ADL. One sort of half season and one full season, although that full season we didn't make championship weekend. We lost in the playoff finals to New York. So that kind of felt like a 3/4 season. It's fun. It's really cool.
I remember you telling me a story once of someone warning you about the stall count and how that went for you.
Yeah. I mean, for some reason, like, if I've ever spoken to colleagues at work about Frisbee, like, I don't know why, but that video seems to be at the top of any YouTube searches. So all people seem to say to me is, "Oh yeah, I see you can catch, but you can't really throw." I'm like, yeah, I know, it's tough. But yeah, I stand by it. I don't feel I had any decent cuts on that first time I got the disc.
So what was the story though? What was the, because you got specific advice about it as well, didn't you?
Yeah, so it was Evan Lepler who warned me about the stall counts, and he once said that I told this to Kurt Gibson, and then he got stalled out the first time he got it, and I was like, okay. So literally, as soon as I caught that thing, I was like, right, who wants this? Like, let me just, I've got a deep reception. Let me just get on, do my role, and not screw around at all. And it might have been the fact that people were so keen to get the disc off me as well, that sort of people were cutting off each other. there was no real decent. I mean, I blame everyone else apart from myself. I don't know. I just didn't have any options, and then I probably turned around on the stall 6.5 and threw some lefty backhand that lost us about 10 or 15 yards. I think we won the game, so it doesn't matter.
So you didn't get stalled out, or was that?
No. Did I get stalled out?
I'm not
no,
sure.
I think it, like on the stall count, I threw it back.
Right, okay.
And,
Right, can throw. But that's what you should say to your colleagues when they're like, "Oh, you can catch, but you can't throw." It's like, well, did you notice that was actually left-handed?
Yeah. They'll be like, "What do you mean?"
Okay.
So that was the second throw from Jamie there, who I think he threw straight away. And Jamie's the sort of player that he'd like to. Oh, was that Jamie? He's the sort of player that would like to make a statement and show that he's not really worried. But yeah, that's a very similar throw. And I think Jamie throws another one in the next point or two. And Jamie's always been like that, like always sort of keen to make a statement that, and I guess definitely for the good of a team, that the occasion doesn't bother him. And I don't think it ever really did. I think he showed that again when he played Revolver at Worlds in 2015. Like, he was just happy to play his Jamie game, and I think that's why he was so good.
Yeah, so when I think of him, I think like super relaxed, super confident, wise. You know, the kind of the kind of like steady hand. But then there's just the occasional like that. Do you remember that Clapham Chevron? Like, bust up is a bit strong, but there was a bit of like shouting and shoving between, I think, Nick White and Jacko. You're right. Like, it's unexplainable. Jamie then runs across, and I'm like thinking, like, okay, Jamie's going to go and calm it down, and he goes in and just starts pushing Jacko. He just got to escalate.
I couldn't understand. Here's another throw from Jamie. Like, you can see there's Ash's defender is almost as deep of him, if not deeper. I think that's Chris Coblo, and just like that's such a smart throw with that bend over to the other side. Like, you don't need any. If you change the angle of the pitch, so if that turns into a diagonal throw, just throwing that across the pitch automatically means that Ash is 3 yards deeper, just from that diagonal throw. And it doesn't need to be particularly good. It doesn't need to be flat out in front. It just needs to have the right shape on it.
And also, it's also worth noting Ashley's cutting here. Like, times it obviously, so he's waiting for the moment to cut. And then when the disc is in, he just takes that one step and then goes back. And when he turns, just try and get this onto the right frame. So he's going in now, and instead of like going in and then deep like that, he kind of goes in and then back.
Yeah, and I think that's one thing. Is like Ash knowing that Jamie will throw that cross field. And two, you don't need a proper undercut, because realistically, Chris isn't going to bite on that under with, is that Lloyd in the lane? Yeah, with Lloyd in the lane there, like, Chris shouldn't really bite on any proper under. The most that we're going to get from that is an IO. So Ash just needs to get Chris on off balance, and then he just knows that even if it is a shitty throw, Ash is going to get that. Like, he's probably hoping for a worse throw.
But
that's just a doddle for Ash, really.
Yeah, I've played with Ash a lot, and not as much as I'd like, but as soon as he does this step and then he turns and he's still looking, like, as soon as you got that going on with the defender facing here and him facing there, you just know it's a goal immediately. Yeah.
And that's a minor but a really key point for a receiver. Like, just never ever take your eyes off. Like, if I'm cutting deep, I'll always be facing the thrower. Not always, but like the advantage you get of that early read. For example, if Jamie spanners that and it ends up being IO to the right side of the field, Ash is going to know that straight away. Whereas if Chris turns around here, he's going to have to rely on it being a really bad throw for him to get. Yeah. So, if Ash just keeps his eye on it, that the read and the position you can give yourself in the first millisecond of a throw is like pretty vital.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, because I mean that throw could, potentially like go over here and Ash would still get it. Like, just
there's so much space over there.
Already turning. it basically just needs to go the other side of like this line to be a goal, guaranteed.
Exactly. Yeah, and yeah, like I say, like Ash is always going to bring that down, even if it's a crappy flow. If there's no other poachers, I said like I think Shui's one of the best deep receivers. I think Ash is probably deep cutter. Ash is definitely the best deep receiver I've played with.
Yeah. I remember when he was a beginner, we played Paganello, and there's a cut I remember really well because he actually did take his eye off me when he went deep. So he did his little plant under, went deep. I threw the inside flick, right, the inside out flick that went over to the left corner of the end zone with touch, and he took 2 steps and he turned over his right shoulder. And he looked at me, and I didn't have the disc in my hand anymore. And he was just looking at me, and I like pointed over. It's gone over that corner, and he was like, "Huh?" And then he looked up, and then went and chased it down for the goal.
I like the dog that he is.
Yeah, go fetch Ashley. So he does his catch later as well, which reminds me of the indoors stuff. Like he's been dominating. Like in Brighton indoors, we have like a league, and it's like a really small end zone, so you have to be like really dexterous with your feet to actually score a point. You can easily jump over the end zone, you know. And
I think that's his volleyball background, isn't it? Right.
Yeah.
That's got to help a lot.
Yeah, but then maybe he got that into volleyball and got good at volleyball because of just perfect proprioception. You know, like his first ever training. He came to Sussex Uni, and I think volleyball coach had said that he wouldn't make GB, and so he came to Frisbee, and I was like, "You're definitely going to make GB." At his first training, and nice. He did it great his first training.
As you do.
Yeah, I don't even know if he knew the rules. He was just like, "These are probably the rules. I should probably throw it." And then he almost did one at the first, like the same week. He went to Brighton Ultimate training, so like kind of higher level club, and he almost did another one. And I was watching him like jump in the air, catch flying over the sideline, being like, "Oh, he's going to greatest it again." And he just looks down and like just like toes in like behind him, and then goes into this like rolls over 2 times. It's
he's not entirely human at some point.
I remember throwing you a disc once, Justin, actually, which sticks in my mind because of the ridiculousness of it. It was when we played indoor tournament, you know, that Tri-Wizard Cup where you play like grass, beach, and indoors in the same weekend.
Yes, that was down. Was that down in Kent somewhere?
Yeah, in Kent, run by Whippet, and my brother was playing on the team. He might have actually organised it, I think. And we were in the indoors bit of it, and I threw you a blade kind of, just like flattish kind of sidearm to the right hand side of the end zone, and I overthrew it right high and far, and there was a basketball hoop in that corner, and it went over the basketball hoop, and you jumped up and caught it. It was like that far over the hoop.
I don't remember that, but I do remember being youthful and being able to. I remember going to indoor tournaments and just, I guess, playing 500s in between games. We did it a lot at university, and just sort of like just practicing before games. Like someone would throw a hammer or a big blade, and you just do everything you can to get it at your absolute peak. So yeah, I think it's just something that was something that was fun. So that's something that we grew up doing, and sort of just becomes intuitive.
Yeah.
Especially when there's no other variables indoors, like there's no wind, you're not going to get a bad footing. You just, you can just like
it doesn't matter about your like
nice
setup
and then just
either.
explode up as high as possible.
Yeah. Indoors is very simple, kind of like catching and throwing kind of game.
Dom Knight, Dom Clark has never skied me. 100% never skied me. Never, not even that. He might have done it once, but no. Oh no, he did do it once, but he fouled me, and I called him on it, and then he just said I was a bad loser.
I keep watching this point, wondering what's going to stand out to me, and I think the thing that stands out is just that there's like flow.
Yeah, and I think there was a fair amount of points in this game that were like this, and I think a fair amount of it comes down to the conditions, and obviously probably a fair amount of like sloppy defense and overbiting on the mark. Like Hayden sort of overcommitted himself there a little bit. I don't know where Mum's gone.
Is it middle force or?
Yeah, I don't know how much FM we played. Mum was calling the D back then. Might have just been a straight backhand for us, but yeah, I think in general, like everyone seems to be off them by about 5 or 7 yards, and by the time by the time people get close, you've got a few options. Good little throw, lefty break here. It must have been FM. And I think once you get that forward throw on an FM, a lot of the time you're going to get sort of another little pop pass. So you only need 3 or 4 of them, and you're at the end zone.
Yeah, and it's like that. Those kind of angles are really good against the false middle. Just getting it in that inside channel leads you directly behind. It's like a breakside power position almost.
Yeah, I can't remember Mum's injury in this game, but I think he was probably playing about 60%. Getting into a game like this, everyone wants to play. You can't blame him, but I do seem to remember he wasn't near 100%, so it might have been why he was a little bit off his man there.
Yeah, and I think just Germany just keep the initiative. It's really like, match defense is by definition dictated by the offense, and they're just managing to dictate in a way which means that they always have an option. Mum commits a little bit there, right, to being like, I'm gonna get a D on this dump, but then as soon as you make that committal, then the offense can then retain that initiative by making another move.
Yeah, I think Johto potentially gives him a little bit too much of an IO. As Brooklacker being a lefty, I think he's probably got a step onto Johto. Should probably take a step left. It's particularly early in that stall count. Protect that IO channel. Make him throw that around. Hopefully a little bit late.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think probably needs to be a little bit close on that mark. It was just a little bit too easy to get onto the break side.
Yeah. Okay, let's catch up with the chat. Rachel says that she'd like to highlight that Ashley's team won those Brighton indoor games as a mixed team, not just Ash.
Every team that Ash was on indoors, it doesn't matter whether it's mixed or open or beginners, you're winning because of Ash. Doesn't matter the division.
Yeah. I've marked him in the finals of those tournaments sometimes, and disc goes up. It's thrown into the end zone. I'm a defender. I'm in perfect position to get it because it's maybe a slight miss throw. I go up and Ashley catches it and doesn't even touch me, and I'm like, okay, next point. Yeah. Or it goes. You force it to be really deep, and the throw goes way out the back of the end zone, and Ash just jumps backwards and like heels it in. But still, true. Someone's got to throw it, right? And that one that went out the back of the end zone, I definitely couldn't get. But know your receiver.
Know your receiver. KYR.
There's loads of chat I've missed. What else makes a great cutter? Timing beats speed. Do you think timing beats speed?
I think does timing beat speed?
Is the answer different depending on whether you're playing a spread offense or like side stack?
I think more spatial awareness. I think timing is hugely important. Although you can have the best timing, if you've got no speed, you're not going to be able to get away from your defender. So it's definitely a combination. I think just knowing. I think a huge part of it is cutting based on the thrower. So if someone's up the line and they're going to throw that, then you just cut deep. Whereas if someone's not really going to throw that unless you're clearing space for someone. So there's a little bit of both, but I think timing is important, but also like awareness and being able to hide the fact that you're about to do a certain cut. So this turnover is a bit of a funny one. I'm not really sure what happened here. I mean, I probably should have just thrown it to his gut, but at the time, I felt like he was just going to cut a little bit deeper.
Yeah. It definitely looks a bit odd, like his positioning and his movement as soon as he comes into frame, because it's like, where's he expecting the disc to go? What window is he giving you?
I feel like the way whoever that defender is, if I sort of throw that as a gut pass, that defender's getting it.
Yeah.
So then I kind of feel like I have to throw it over with a little bit of shape. Yeah, Hero, we'll put that down to a wind. Yeah, big bluster of wind. Yeah, so I don't really understand this, and I was a little bit confused because it came out as I expected it to. It wasn't like a misthrow.
Yeah. I think it just wasn't ready for it.
I think if Magnet wants it there, then I don't know. It's not really sort of. Maybe I should have just thrown like a lefty IO backhand back through the middle or something.
I think there's plenty of space in the end zone.
It was maybe a little bit early on in the game, a little bit of adrenaline. I mean, looking there, he's just sort of standing there facing me, so I don't really understand.
Backwards. Yeah, that you could put in the same kind of cut that Ash did earlier, right? If he's actually like running away from the line and deep, then that completely opens up like this whole area here. But instead he's stood flat-footed facing the sideline. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, there's no doubt like that turnover is definitely on me, but I do remember being a little bit confused. Like I said, I thought that throw came out as I expected, and I was just. Yeah. I think because it was quite early on and I caught it and then just threw straight away, I probably didn't have enough time to think of the exact throw I should have thrown.
Maybe. I mean, but the nature of the high-level competition is there's a point where you have to kind of expect that your teammate's doing something, right? And you can't be 100% all the time. I think
Benji's right. I think a thumber is probably the right one there.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah. Because then it would go around the defender, drop down nice and slow in the end zone.
Yeah. But lefty backhand instead, for sure. I can't throw a thumber. We go straight into the grass.
In seriousness, I don't think thumbers are worth practicing. And I like my crazy throws.
No, they're not.
But only because the amount of like skin contact that you have with the disc on a thumber is like just on the pad of your thumb. So it's like a tiny amount of skin contact, which means that as soon as you get sweaty and the pad of your thumb is sweaty, which is one of the first things to get sweaty, then suddenly it's like slipping out and it looks like you've never thrown a thumber before. Just super embarrassing. I've done it a bunch of times indoors. It took me like 2 years to figure out why when I'm in the final it always slips out. Like what's going on?
Yeah.
It's sweatiness.
I feel like whenever I have tried to practice, when I've done 2 or 3 in a row, after like 3, it's like I can't throw anymore. It's too sore.
Right. Okay. Because you got that like you got to grip it with that.
My thumb.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's a bit of an annoying turnover that early in the game.
Bit of a switch.
Desperately don't like turning over early on in games.
Is that the second turnover of the match? That one.
Yeah. So it was a German one in the first point, and then just that one, I think, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, and then this is one of 5 of Chris's let's let GB win turnovers. He'll hate me for saying that, but I won't watch this. I think that's a pretty tough throw because he puts a lot of spin on it. Like he's a very risky throw, like really good technique, but he puts the right whip on that, and the more whip and spin you put on a low throw like that, it's always going to lead out to the right, regardless on how much IO you put on. So like that's not far off being actually a really good throw, but again, like with the wind on that day and the conditions, like they could have walked that in so easily.
Yeah, I mean he's got a pretty small window as well. It could be that kind of thing.
I don't think. Yeah, I think he put a bit of air bounce on it as well, so it probably wasn't supposed to go that high. Which gave Parzo. I mean, Parzo was probably having a cup of tea on the floor when that throw went up. And he thought, actually, I might have a bid on this.
It's funny you should mention that because I think you guys blew a switch earlier in the point. Let me have a look here.
Oh, wasn't my man, was it?
No, it's definitely Parzo's. I only watched it once. Let's see. So that's Parzo there, right? Yeah. So here it comes. Okay.
Yeah.
Right.
So Parzo's actually like really good at understanding when his player is not really a threat. Mm-hmm. So in that position, apart from like a no gain, a sort of reset, he can probably just let that guy run under. Or we've probably already communicated, like we're always looking for switches. Is that what happens?
You switch under, he takes a long time, and this guy actually gets like 10 yards separation deep.
Oh.
But I agree with you. Parslow at GB used to always poach block all my throws. So he knows when he doesn't have to play 1-to-1 defense. But I just in this instance, I don't think he's ready for the switch.
He's definitely looking at the thrower there.
Yeah, and then you're pointing, and then he accelerates towards his guy again. But then you're accelerating towards him as well. So
yeah, I mean, I'd fully expect Pars to pick that up.
But yeah, he's still.
I mean, as the cutter in my position, that's not really up to me whether I can call that switch. Like that should really only be called from the guy downfield, because obviously that's where the worst threat is. And if that switch doesn't happen, which is exactly what happens, and that throw goes, then yeah, it's that throw doesn't go. Great.
Yeah, it doesn't go. Yeah,
we got away with that.
Yeah,
but yeah, that, I shouldn't have called that. That should have been Parslow's to call. But it looked like a pretty obvious situation for a switch there.
I think, and this is me half theorizing because you can't quite see you. I think the reason it doesn't go is because whoever's marking this guy just poaches off deep massively. So in fact, this is the punishment for it. It's a completely free 15-yard under. And shooting on it.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, we had a bit of a tendency. We had a number of players on that team who tried to maybe sometimes too often take sort of the smart route and get a poachy switch. And sometimes with offense, like you just have to go man and grind them down. Sorry, match and grind them down. So I think that seems like that might have been what happened there.
Bad decision or bad execution is the question. I mean, it's always a balance between the two because, if you decide to make something that's the extent, the very top level of your execution, then it's probably a bad decision to try and do that. But, if you've got insane levels of execution and then you decide to make something that is like 50%, your execution maximum ability.
It's not much of like a sort of a regulation throw. It's not like an isolated cut to the open side but deep. It's a cross-field IO to the break side, air bounce into half a field at best. So and like I said, I'll probably keep saying that all game. Like that wasn't like a high stall count. They weren't struggling to get resets out and thought it's time to set them up. They've got like Nico's on the pitch. They've got the right throwers on the pitch to put that in. So for me, that was just a rush of blood and a poor decision, followed by poor execution. Yeah,
it would have had to be an amazing throw, and it wasn't quite.
I do mean a lazy when I mean smart. I think lazy and smart are very, very closely related in Ultimate.
Yeah, maybe in life as well, but not always. That's for sure.
Yeah, exactly, Benji. That guy's it's too deep.
Yeah,
cut too deep before
especially
that throw goes.
For a throw like that needs to hang a little bit. I remember like Scando. Did you get to play with Scando much at all?
Yeah, a lot actually in my first year or two at Clapham. Yeah,
he was different level. His deep throws, he would just throw them so early and high, and then they would just drop down in the end zone. Right, someone would just run whole length of the pitch and go catch him.
He was definitely one of the best huckers I've ever played with, for sure.
Oh, Jamie just lets it slip through his fingers. Doesn't go clap catch, does he?
Is this a 10 over?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I'm never a fan of the old finger clipper catch. Like, I think you've just got to get off the ground, sort your feet out early, get on the ground, and get your hand above it.
Yeah, get off the ground. I think that's not something that's said very much, but even if you don't need to jump, just jumping actually helps catches.
Yeah, because it entirely eliminates the variables of your legs, and effectively you don't have to think about what leg's going down. You're not bobbling, like you're effectively floating, and catching when you're floating is pretty easy because you're not going up and down. You're just sort of like going in one straight line.
Yeah, that's right. It minimizes the variables. Okay, you got two free deep cuts here to happen early on. That guy falls over. Ash has got a couple of yards, but he's got a poach, so Ash should really try and bring that poach under. Looks like he does. Yeah, Ash does. So then the other one's free, and then there's a travel call here.
Yeah, so I think that's me who's just caught it, right? Yeah, and I think sometimes I do travel, but in that situation when there's no mark and no one in front of me, like that travel call is no more than just to sort of slow the game down or try to get your advantage.
Yeah.
Try to eliminate the advantage. Like
Maybe.
I haven't run too far, I don't think.
No, it's not. It's not too far. It's not too bad. But you know, it is a big step to say that it's made in bad faith. Because when you see, it's that thing of when people catch it, if they look real casual and they're just jogging along, you're like, oh, that's a travel.
Yeah, I guess so. 1, 2. I mean,
and then the last step is actually quite a big
step. The last
step's
step's the travel, but I feel like he's called that travel before that last step.
It has, yeah, yes.
But yeah, I guess the only reason I say that is because I think it happened once or twice later in this game. And it was just like you were just calling that to slow the offense down.
So I did some analysis of Cusp versus Clapham European final. Did you get a chance to see that?
The one from Venice?
Yeah, the airport.
No, I absolutely haven't watched that. And no offense to you, that's not because I don't watch your videos. It's because I just don't watch games. I lose.
Yeah.
I watch you actually sometimes, but it's still probably a bit raw.
Yeah, I mean, I can relate. We said in the run up to this, I had to make a DVD of the 2011 final that we lost, and that was very difficult. Well, anyway, sorry.
Having said that about that Bologna game, like, I guess it's not a game that I don't want to watch. I'm not ready to watch it. Like, I could easily watch it. It doesn't interest me.
Right. Well,
there's definitely going to be things to learn from it, and you know I will watch it. But I also know a whole load of mistakes we made, so I don't feel like I need to look too deep into that DVD. Into that analysis or to that game to know where we went wrong. Right.
One thing that I was going to say in that video that I don't talk about. You said in this, you know, there's a few travel calls on you. I was wondering if you noticed in that game whether you got more physical contact than you're used to. So I just noted a few bumps here and there, and sometimes it was like, you know, off the disc, and it was just something in the stack, and I saw it I thought maybe it was affecting you a bit.
Yeah, I mean, I always tried to take a bit of physical contact, particularly if it doesn't affect a play at all. If I've got the disc, I'll just constantly be calling contact if someone's bumping me, and I don't really mind that so much, unless it's happening so regularly that it's affecting downfield flow. But yeah, you say, like, I don't think it's what happened in that game was any more contact that I'm sort of used to getting.
Okay.
I know that's one of Davide's and those guys' strategies to agitate me and sort of try to frustrate me and bump me and foul me. I remember actually playing against Davide in Stockholm in an indoor tournament, sort of on beach size in Hello Stockholm. And he was just fouling me every single point, every single time I touched the disc. And like I said, like it doesn't really bother me until it affects downfield. And it got to that point indoors where he'd foul me, I'd call contact, I can't get that throw out, and then he moves around, and then the throw's gone, and then it affects sort of the whole play. So,
yeah. I feel like that's weird. I just got a sudden flash of memory in 2011 where you're getting fouled on the mark and it having a knock-on kind of effect in that kind of way. You know, not like immediate, but then it's like, oh, now the flow stopped.
Yeah, because I guess a lot of the time, like if you, to some extent, you can at least try to get that throw out if you've been fouled, as long as you've started your throwing motion. But if you try to step out, or even before you go to step out for a foul, and you sort of get pushed back off balance, you know, like on contact, and by that time downfield, because the game's not stopping and that downfield cut has gone, timings are off, and then you have to wait, you know, 3 or 4 seconds for another one, and combine that with a fast count, and next thing you know, you're on 7 or 8, and you're forcing a throw out, and it's because you fouled in the first part of the stall count.
Yeah. I try and always like call. I mean, contact existing is great, right? I mean, that didn't exist in 2015.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So that's a really great kind of addition. But yeah, like I kind of call them as early as I can in a way because, well, I don't want to stop the game, but especially like playing like flow offense. As soon as that like stoppage happens, whether it's because of a travel call or a foul on the mark, then it advantages the defense massively. If your aim is to maintain and create flow, then you can basically stop the flow if you bend the rules a little bit on defense to no disadvantage.
Yeah.
Although I was chatting to Voodoo a little bit, I heard something interesting about Clapham trainings. You stopped pick calls, is that right?
I don't think so. We stopped pick calls when we do sort of 3 on 3 and 3 on 4 in boxes as like warm up game. But I don't remember us ever stopping them in a in 7 on 7 training. It might have been like a one-off training, but it wasn't like a season-long thing or something that we stopped.
Okay. Maybe I misunderstood him. I've completely neglected chat for minutes now. See if we can why is Stobbs not playing? I've got a follow-up question for that.
So Stobbsy got injured in our warm-up for our quarter-final. I remember leading the warm-up. I can't remember if we had a game before, but there was a part of the warm-up that I'd forgotten to do. And I think it was like we went straight in from like throwing hucks. And then we went into sort of some mini or some 3 on 3. And like he was battling with like a bad hamstring all week. We went into sort of like some low intensity 3 on 3 game. I think might have been in a box or in an end zone. And yeah, he just strained his hamstring a little bit. I think he tried to warm up or tried to play the semi, but no, I don't know. And yeah, so anyway, Stobbsy hurt his hamstring in, I think it was the warm up for the quarterfinal, and I think a little bit of it might have been put on me because there was a certain part of the warm up I'd forgotten to do.
Yeah, it's a fragile.
So I felt a little bit bad, but at the same time, his hamstring was pretty bad all week.
Right.
So it wasn't entirely my fault. I don't.
So Stobbs has been one of the longest running Clapham players at this point. Is he still playing?
No, he's not playing this season. His wife has given birth. He's now a father. So I think that's just taken priority. And I think as he wasn't going for GB this year, with sort of 3 years until the next big Club Worlds, I think he thought it was a good time to sort of unofficially retire.
Yeah, he played many years at the top level.
Yeah, he did, and I fully expect him to still come to some Clapham trainings in the winter for a run around and to shout at us
and break your marks all over the place without effort as well.
And to give us a little shimmy with the shoulder and make us look like idiots. Yeah.
I never every Clapham training I went to, I seemed to always be behind him in the Brave Force drill, and I just never got close. I knew it was coming. Then just go past me like, oh damn it.
He really did master the shimmy, and what was most frustrating is if you play with him for long enough, you know that you don't have to move on this first shimmy, but then if you don't move, he just throws it. So it's a lose-lose, basically.
Yeah. I was wondering, so my follow-up question, how many national championships have you won?
12, I think. Oh, it was 11. What year was it?
This year is 2020.
12 or 11. But yeah,
okay.
I think it's 12.
And how many Stobbs won?
Well, I think Stobbsy only joined Clapham later on, didn't he? I think he might have only joined. Well, he was playing in 2015. I think he probably only joined in 2014, or maybe 2013. And I feel like he missed one when he was out in America after Worlds 1 year. So I'd guess at around 5. I'd say 5.
5. He's only won 5 stops. Really? Okay.
I don't know.
So.
Oh, here you go. Mum will know. Mum, how many stops he's won? 2010. That does seem like a lot. He joined in 2010, did he?
Because I'm trying to work out who's won the most nationals, basically, in the UK. I know Doug Milne is up on 12 or 13.
Oh, he's not, is he?
I think he is, yeah. Because, I mean, he's been playing since, he's been top level since, mid-90s or before. So he was winning them with horizontal ombres, with shotgun.
How many did he win with Clapham?
UTI. And then he won quite a few with Clapham. When did he come to Brighton? He came to Brighton in 2009.
I definitely didn't play with him at Clapham.
No, okay.
So a year before, I think, or a few years before.
2005 then? But anyway, I remember him saying either 12 or 13, and I'm not 100% whether it's 12 or 13, but
okay.
So you can't retire yet. Yeah, you can't retire yet. Yeah. If anyone else in chat has got any suggestions as to who might be challenging that, then shout out. This is Ben Parsons, is it?
Ben Parsons, yeah, the absolute grinder.
Yeah.
I'm not sure. He's one of those guys. He's only probably 5'8". I think he won an unofficial MVP in this game. He's just he's so fit.
Mm-hmm.
He can just keep running and running and running. He's now a very high level CrossFitter.
Yeah, I'm surprised.
But he's one of those players that just plays within himself more so than anyone, and he grinds and grinds. And this is probably one of the only times that you'll see him throw sort of a bit of a bailout throw.
He places it to the right place, right?
He does, and if there's one good bailout throw to do, it's that. And as soon as I sort of realised that wasn't for me, I wasn't going to get that, you might see that I drop a little bit of a shoulder just to sort of protect Parslow from catching it. I think I had lacquer on my back. I hope this doesn't look bad, but I knew I wasn't going to get it, so I just sort of get my body away to make sure he doesn't have a bid on it, which potentially is a foul, but he doesn't make a play on it either, so probably okay.
Yeah, you're ahead of him. You're moving ahead of him. It is a blocking foul, isn't it? Yeah, it is.
Well, it is, but I don't think he was going to make a play on it anyway, as the disc was going away from him.
Yeah.
But it's the least he deserves. Yeah, exactly, Dom.
Parsons, he pivots really powerfully, right? Kind of like Brittany, and maintains balance really, really well. But sometimes I think that pivoting in that style actually costs time and costs also synchronization with teammates.
Yeah, 100%. I'm not a fan of a pivot fake. I think that's very sort of 2010 where, well, when we first started, it was step out and throw that backhand, or step out and throw that fake, and it's you're better off just staying still, watching the field, and then dropping a shoulder, shimmying and moving the mark that way. Because the minute you step out to throw a backhand, if you're stepping out wide enough to make it believable, you're losing not only a second and a half or 2 seconds of being able to throw downfield, but you're taking your eye off any cuts developing. So I've always just tried to get the disc, look downfield, and then if your mark's in the way, try to shimmy out of the way. But stepping out for pivots, and very similar to Brittany as well. And Brittany was one of those old schools that did that. And you'll see that actually Parsons gets fouled a fair bit on the mark.
He doesn't strike me as the kind of person that ever called it though.
Yeah, and exactly, and he gets pushed back onto his back foot quite a lot.
And then he has to turn his back to the field as well because that person's too close.
And then you're releasing from all sort of weird points. So I think, and I think that might have been what happened here. I think when people are sort of and that gives people the opportunity to straddle you. So you just need to step forward. And then if there's not a disc space between you and your defender, then that's a foul or contact.
Yeah, definitely. A player who's really good at the no pivot, analyze the field, and then only pivot if you need to, I think, is Naz, right? Because I remember one of the first DVDs I made, and I was watching Naz, and when he wants to throw backhand, his first move is to actually wind up completely his upper body for the backhand. Yeah. And if the force hasn't covered it, he just throws it with no pivot. But then he can just begin to pivot and so the force has to move with him all the way. And if at any point the force is right, I'm stopping here, then he just throw it. And if the force doesn't stop, he can go the whole way, and then he's definitely brought the force the whole way there as well.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, there's definitely times that a backhand, sort of a step out backhand fake are good, particularly like when you're stepping out to throw a huck fake, because you're not going to throw a huck with a quick release. So a big sort of fake huck will get defenders downfield to bite.
Yeah,
whereas like coming over to throw like a break mark throw for like a 10-yard gainer, no one's really going to bite on that too much.
Yeah, it's got to be like realistic options, right? Oh, come on, Rue is being super cute at the moment. Yeah, you gotta like fake realistically. I wanna watch a game with Bevan, because Bevan was really good at like reading the field and then just running and getting a D from like way across the other side of the field. He reads the play and predicts it. And that's one of the benefits of having when you do fake, then being like realistic and to believable options, because it gets the best defenders on the other team committing and poaching.
Definitely. Yeah.
Oof, good bid.
So again, that was like another. We came down in zone here. It's probably more of a transition zone, just to sort of prevent their pool play. But yeah, that was it's their second turnover, another unforced error. Which again, I don't know, was potentially a little bit forced. Kind of hard when you're throwing directly to someone going straight away from you.
So you transition to 1-to-1 now. Yeah, there's a bit of separation.
I guess. Yeah, it's just a bit of an overthrow. I think is that guy's name Reinhard or something? Is that right? Reinhard. Yeah.
Yes.
I remember playing him in Tom's tourney, and he wasn't playing for a particularly good team, and he was just doing absolutely everything. I'm pretty sure that was the same guy, Florian Reinhard. Yeah, it was Flo. Yeah. In fact, I remember him being very fast and just getting every other disc. It's kind of a tough throw. I mean, he's not got a huge amount of space to work with there. If Reinhard was 10 yards to our right, then it's probably becomes a slightly easier throw, but it's not far from going directly over his head. And that's going to hurt. It's going to hurt.
Yeah, it doesn't look too bad.
That grass was really nice, but it was so nice that it was a little bit sticky.
Right. Just looking at Holger's flick technique here. See the left arm going out in front. Yeah, and like lifting the elbow, and then the first motion is almost pulling that arm back to then get that rotation in the shoulders.
So, yeah, and his head isn't totally upright. I'm always a big fan of keeping your head directly upright as opposed to that 45-degree angle, because that just changes all sorts of perceptions.
Right.
I think you can step out in like a lateral lunge, but still keep your head directly upwards, because then you're not really changing too much, are you, apart from your release point? Whereas he's quite bent over there. I feel if you said, right, Holger, take that foot in, your right foot, take that in a foot or so, you'd have a much higher percentage chance of completing it.
Yeah, you'd have a higher chance to block it, though.
That is true, but I think he's still got about 4 foot of separation there from the throw to Craig's left hand.
Yeah. So something I realized a few years ago is that the angle of your core, right? So say his core is like in between those two angles, so the white lines. The angle of your core is kind of the angle that the disc comes out at in the most efficient way. So if you can just angle your core by leaning and then rotate and flick, and the disc comes out at that angle, then that's efficiency.
Yeah.
Oh, that's not you on the mark.
Yeah, it's Alex Craig, isn't it?
Yeah.
But yeah, just a bit of an overthrow. I mean, so like I said, it was pretty still, but there were gusts at either end of the stadium. Like there were every now and again the disc would sort of pop up and down. So maybe that just caught a draft and didn't get the float that he was after.
Same third. Sci-Fi points out. I think the same third is. I don't like there being like rules. Do this, don't do this. Especially because my view of the strategy of the game is that it's evolving and changing rapidly.
Yeah, I agree.
The same third. It's like, if you it's a slightly harder throw. That's basically it. It's a slightly harder throw because of the angles involved. But if you got great throws, then it's not really that much of a problem.
Yeah, I think it's a simple case of the more angle you have. Like if you're throwing that throw to the guy on the other third of the field, those percentages of completion are probably just going to at least double. I think just the smaller angle, the smaller percentages, as simple as that. So that, just going back to that huck, that I think was it Arno who...
Would you want to go back to the German huck?
No, just for our turnover.
Oh right, yeah. I completely skipped over it in fact.
So Ghana's also missed a safety, like not one of those people that ever take on throws that he couldn't complete. And I'm really surprised that Hayden didn't make a bid for this one.
Yeah.
Considering that guy who throws himself around, I don't know what it was, but I fully sort of expected, because by the time that lands, it's not too far from his foot. Maybe it was going quite fast, but out of anyone, I probably would have expected Hayden to make a bid on that. Especially in a final. Come on, Hayden.
Yeah. That is weird. I was just trying to see whether he like pulls up a little bit, maybe he gets a twinge, but there's maybe something early on when he's like running. No, I think he should bid. Not sure why. It's very uncharacteristic.
Yeah, I think that's probably what surprised me a bit. Yeah.
That catch he does in the Condors game, windmill last year. Was it last year?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, that's got to be harder than this one.
Yeah. That was great. I'm so glad we got that from all the camera angles as well.
Just seen Dom's comment, do I have a good relationship with Mo and Aaron? I don't know, actually. I feel like they've always been very polite. And I would say it's a respectful relationship. Like I wouldn't say we're not really mates. We don't know much about each other. We don't. But if we saw each other at a tournament, we'd say hello and have a chat.
You don't play golf like you do with the Swedish players.
No, they don't play golf. No. So yeah, I'm not too sure. I wouldn't say it's a bad relationship. I just feel, and I don't think people would disagree, that sort of a few years ago, I don't think the Brook Larkin brothers had a great reputation in terms of spirit. So I think as far as like a personal relationship goes, yeah, no, I don't mind them at all. But yeah, I just feel some of the calls that have been made against my team, where I've seen them made, have been a little bit questionable. I think that's all I probably need to say about it. But yeah, no, they seem like nice enough guys anyway.
This is like a foul or nah type thing, where the first angle it was like, how is he calling that? And then the second angle, you can see there's a hand on the shoulder for the entire duration.
Yeah, I mean, so it's 100% a foul. There's no doubt about it. But like Crag is like insanely fast and very explosive player, and you'd fully expect him to go up at least a second earlier. Then he makes the D. Then he gets the D, I think, before that foul can even happen. I just think he gets stuck under it a little bit and goes up too late. Like he can start going up now.
Yeah, it's super awkward.
Before that, I think he can start going up.
Yeah.
And then he just sort of, I don't know whether he was trying to box him out or not, but anyway, yeah, it was a foul.
But it looks like almost he initiates contact a bit earlier. You see it, but that's probably normally fine. And then he just gets a bit of an extended kind of push, and then the hand on the shoulder from the other angle.
Yeah, I think both those moves, when you're both looking up into the sky and you're sort of getting into position, there's going to be a little bit of contact. But I mean, everyone's guilty of subconsciously putting your hand on the shoulder. I know I've definitely done it a few times. It's not something you you think about to keep the other person down. It just sort of like a natural position for your hand.
Also, like, you naturally want to protect your face, right? Like,
the last thing you want to do is someone's shoulder jumping up into your chin.
Yeah, or their head. Actually, the head would be worse. But
yeah, but yeah, I think 100% a foul. Should have been a turnover, but at the same time, I think Cragg could have gone up a second earlier and sort of guaranteed the D.
Yeah, potentially it's a bit of an awkward one. So this goes back, and then looks like it goes deep again. Glastonbury rules.
Glastonbury rules.
Anyone that hasn't played Glastonbury, if there's a call, then and it's contested, then you have to do the same throw again and see what the real result was.
You know what? I remember the very point that rule got invented.
Really?
Yeah, and I was with I was playing. I think I want to say it was with Cy Hill, and it might have been the final. It was like Cy Hill and a bunch of like sort of some guys was sort of semi-retired, like the likes of Cy Weeks and maybe a couple of the older Chevy guys.
It was Team Cy versus Team Dave. Well, no, that was Team Owl, wasn't it? Okay.
I can't remember, but I remember this sort of throw went up and it obviously had to go. And then I don't know if I remember saying to him, like, throw that again. Glastonbury rules. And then, yeah, the throw went and I'm not sure what happened, but that's where it started. And it seems like it might have gone around a little bit.
It's that's standard rule set now in Glastonbury. Rule, yeah. The unwritten Glastonbury rule.
Unwritten Glastonbury rules.
Okay, so I think that's break side, right? And this, yeah, it looks like break side. Don't lead him over to the break side. That's nice. Very hard to react at the front there because you've got to kind of watch the person in front and also time. The disc left his hand now, but he's facing the other way, so then he turns around.
The only thing I'd say there from Raz's position is as that disc isn't actually that close to the end zone, he could potentially be side by side but with his defender so he can get an idea on when the disc is.
Yeah.
Like face marking. I mean, I guess he's probably not that far away, but such a sort of a big area to cover that Raz could probably take a step. Yeah, and just stand to the left of the German guy.
Yeah.
Have an arm on him, and then he'll know that disc is going to the break side, so he can just orbit and protect the break side when that thing comes out.
Yeah, and by moving to the side, he knows where he is, but then he can also see the disc without taking his eye off him.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and because he turns at this point, and he's not able to get both of them in his field of view, then it's that movement there, and it's a goal basically.
Yeah. That's 5-4. I didn't realise we went. Was that 5-4 or 4? I didn't realise we went down.
It's 5-4, I think.
I guess we're sort of just trading.
Right. In terms of stream, we will end the stream in 10 minutes. And if we're not at halftime yet, then so be it. Justin, maybe are you around next Friday?
I should be around next Friday.
And what about the Friday after that?
God, that is an awful lot of commitment. Friday evenings are generally okay for me.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because if we get a third of the way through the game, then it's possible that it'll be 3 parts. Oh my God, Rue just woke up and stared wildly at the camera. I think it's when it focuses. I think it the camera refocuses, and then she's like, "What's that?" I did Bravo Revolver with Brian Jones, and me and him just we get sidetracked so often that it ended up being 4 parts, which is a lot of hours to look at one game.
Fridays.
We can do Wednesday or Monday. Friday night is the sacred time, isn't it? So.
Well, once upon a time it was. Now it's the time of nothing.
Yeah, well, yeah. This is as close as I get to socializing at the moment.
So yeah, that's one of the only points that German came down in sort of like a zone. I think it got ripped apart pretty quickly by Jamie, and I'm not sure they came back on it. I don't think that there was a huge amount of pressure on the resets. Like, it's a really good little inside throw to Lloyd there.
Oh,
And I mean, the amount of times we saw that and sort of Chris overcommitting. I think even on the very last part, very last point in the game, he does something similar. It's just a little bit unnecessary. I'm not sure, was that even... it was on the break side, wasn't it? But
that was almost a D there. Almost a chance for a D.
yeah, and Jamie's absolutely thread the needle through on this one.
Yeah.
Bit of a risky throw, but
past
got away
3
with it.
defenders. Well, yeah, 3 defenders were near it, but then 2 offensive players could catch it. So
Yeah, true. Yeah, they just middleman in the middle of the cup just sort of got a bit sidetracked, I think. Got a bit distracted by something else, left a hole in the middle of the wall.
Nice. Look at the space he's running to. Massive space. It's nice to have receivers that look for those throws. It's so frustrating.
Yeah.
So frustrating when like people just don't see the space and you're like, someone be ready to catch it if I throw it there.
Yeah.
One of my weirdest experiences is actually when I tried out for GB in 2010, and a really weird experience was just I picked up the disc on the brick mark, pivoted out, like stack in front of me, pivoted out for the inside out break to the front of the stack because they're being like poached by like 2 meters, and I think it's Matt McDowell, and he just looked at me and I was like, come on, like I'm ready to throw break side, and he was just like not ready at all.
Part of the play, Felix.
Yeah, exactly right. It was the first time I'd had to like discipline myself and do the play rather than like just take what they give me. I was baffled.
Yeah.
But he obviously came from the opposite experience of like, there's always a plan, there's always a play, and Brighton's always been incredibly organic with that.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, so when Jamie throws this IO pop pass up line to Lloyd, there's not a huge amount of threat that Chris needs to jump over like that. I mean, he doesn't give much away stopping that throw, but Chris, given that way that Chris is facing, the most that's going to be is like a 2 or 3 yard gain, and by that time Shuey catches it and
maybe, yeah,
the end zone, but I think unlikely.
Yeah.
But then if Lloyd then gets in the give and go, like he's off to the races and it's game over.
Yeah, true. Lloyd's a great player, isn't he? What player would you say you've had the best connection with on the field over the years?
Well, I mean, obviously there's Dom from university.
Yeah, that's good.
Although that connection was definitely really only ever one way. If I ever tried to throw to him long, it would either be a bad throw or he wouldn't get it. But Dom to me was always quite a good one.
That was brilliant. I remember like playing against you guys when you were in Brooks and everything, and like Dom would get it and you just look at you and then you just start running to the end zone and you'd always shout, Dom! Like put your hand in the air. And Dom would, a couple of fakes and then just throw it as far as he could. It's always nice.
I've got to say, I always had a pretty good connection with Shuey. Shuey always threw pretty good shape on his hucks, which I quite liked. And he was also the best deep cutter that I've probably played with. So you could throw something that wasn't exactly on the money, you'd probably still get it. And anything that was a little bit floaty was he'd normally come down with.
Yeah, it's funny. Ash said the same thing earlier, actually. That Shuey, I think he said Shuey. He's got had the best connection with.
Yeah, I think I'm not sure. Maybe it was because like he just didn't mind so much, and he liked to huck it, and he wasn't like the most orthodox huckers, but it would come out and it would be gettable as opposed to too far. Yeah, that was. I think that Ash might have been a little bit higher than people might have thought. Yeah, you can tell by that helpful jumping on the sideline. The amount of ultimate photos you've seen when like someone's up for a disc and you see someone in the background like giving that a little helping hop.
Speaking of jumping, just whilst I let this play out a little bit, when I was looking for a photo for the thumbnail today, I was on your Instagram and I found a photo of you jumping high, not during live play. Let me just try and bring it up now.
Not during live play.
Yeah, it's just after you'd won, I think.
At Windmill.
Yeah. Here we go.
Yeah.
Right, I'll put it on screen. Look at the air.
Yeah, I was, to be honest, I really went for height on that one.
Yeah.
And I was absolutely, that was after Ash had just caught the winning point from a bit of a comeback from us, and also a bit of a dodgy throw from myself.
Right.
Well, not dodgy, but potentially was maybe a little bit too close to getting deed. So we were pretty happy to grind out that win. Otherwise, we would be going to Universe upwind. So that was a pretty good moment. And I think, it was against Bologna as well. And we were down like 4-1 and 8-6, and he came back to win. So that was quite a nice moment.
Big win.
Yeah.
Worth jumping high for.
Definitely.
There was a massive hammer earlier in this point that was so casually caught. Yeah, nice play. Good solid offense.
Yeah, I'm not sure how he managed to get so deserted without anyone shouting. Oh god, that was me on the wing. Great.
Let's have a look again, actually, just because it's.
I wonder what was happening.
It's like a zone for two to three passes, right? It's very quick.
Yeah, so it looks like a bit of a junk zone. So one chase. So Mum looks like he might have been the wing. Shui's come in, so I must have been covering it deep. And then
Holger's there.
Mum's sort of gone across the other side, and I might still be covering it deep. Not sure.
That's a good move. Like this aggressive move from the back. Like as soon as the hammer's in the air, just like sprinting down.
Yeah.
So valuable to be able to get those extra, like, what's that, 15 yards?
That's another 10 yards from a foot pass, isn't it?
Yeah, plus the like momentum, you're going forward, you're in like a power position.
Yeah. He's pretty much throwing that throw sideways, but you get another 10 yards.
Yeah.
He's maybe throwing it forward a yard or two.
Yeah, it's like 45 degrees and then...
Yeah, so that throw is actually, he's throwing it when he's in the same, he's level with him, so... Yeah, I've got to say, just going on from looking at Liam's comment, like
Hans Tiro.
Hans Tiro he's got to be like one of the most technically sound players. Like, his throws were just probably the smoothest I've ever seen.
Yeah.
And also, isn't he like 36 or 40 or something, and he only looked about 25?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I did a lot of video editing, right, of like filming Euros and stuff, and Hans just always stood out as, I think for a while he was like the best thrower in Europe, like just the consistency, reliability, balance, like any situation, just like absolutely pinpoint, and it makes such a difference, if you don't have to bend down to catch a disc, if you can just hop and get at your chest, and also, his cuts, like we just saw, just like appearing there at the right time in the right space, making a huge difference. Hans Tiro, absolutely fantastic player. Okay, so we will leave this game at 6-5, because if the stream carries on for too long, people get hungry and wander off.
Leave them wanting more.
Exactly, yeah.
Liam Grant's about to kick off, I reckon.
Sorry?
Liam Grant's about to kick off. He was late to the party.
Arthur asks how many times GB played against Germany in the finals.
Just twice, 2015 and 2019. I think, and probably 2 European finals. We played European finals against them in Venice in 2017 as Clapham, or 2018. But yeah, the last 2 European finals have been, or the last 2 men's European finals have been GB Germany. we don't often get to knockout. We don't often. We have never really met them in knockout in any Worlds tournaments. I think it's a bit of a shame because if you look at like their top 3 club teams.
Yeah, Badskid and Clapham met in Cincinnati, didn't they? Just thinking about that.
Yes, that's right. Yeah, we played them. I think second game or something. But yeah, I think they potentially underperformed a little bit on. I can't actually say that. I mean, they knocked us out in Cincinnati, didn't they?
Yeah.
In the semis. But before that, like we've always expected them to go a little bit deeper in tournaments. I sort of remember thinking back to 2012 in Japan. I thought like they'd go further, and just like a few other times when you hear, oh yeah, Germany or Badskid have been knocked out, and it's always a little bit surprising. I think Chevy beat them in quarters last year in Venice as well, so that was a bit of a surprise.
Right.
But yeah, no, they're obviously a very good team and someone that you kind of want to avoid in tournaments, particularly deep in tournaments.
So I can put you down for next Friday.
Yes, you can.
Perfect. And then we're going to have Miranda Rothnals on the stream at some point in the next couple of weeks. We haven't decided a game to do with Miranda, so any suggestions, then come into the Discord. I'm going to post a little link to the Discord. Justin, are you able to come and hang out in the Discord and chat with patrons and stuff for like 20 minutes?
I can, indeed.
Perfect. Then I will put the link in the chat. I need to actually load that up. So if you wanna come chat with Justin, ask him some questions that you didn't get to ask on stream or that we missed. Questions that you didn't get. Oops, there we go. That's me loading up the stream. Then come to Discord and we will have voice chat going on. I'm just posting the link now. Do apologise. There we go. How have you found it? Did you enjoy this analysis session? Was it what you were expecting?
Yeah, it was cool. Yeah, it was fun. Yeah, it was good to answer some questions and get sort of people's views on certain things that you wouldn't really think about so much. So yeah, it was very interesting.
Awesome. Well, it's been a great pleasure having you on the stream, Justin. You're one of the more talkative guests and full of interesting stories, but also you bringing strategical insight like proactively, which kind of not all the guests do. You were like, all right, in this point, this is happening. So that's really good. I appreciate that a lot, and I'm sure the viewers loved it, and I'm sure Rue is incredibly jealous because she just wants me to spend time with her the whole time.
Fair.
Big shout out to all my patrons that I'm showing now. Patreon.com/FelixUltimate. If you're not a patron, you get access to the full live stream archive and early access to new videos and more access to Discord. I posted the link for Discord, so you can join Discord, and then some stuff's restricted to patrons. One other thing, so we'll be streaming next week, Wednesday and Friday. Wednesday will be a restream of an analysis session that I did with Brighton of us playing against Clapham 2 at UKU Tour in 2018. So originally that was like a private analysis one, and now it's going to be broadcast on Wednesday. That'll be live, free, and then it will go behind the Patreon. That one could be quite interesting because it's like how I talk to team that I'm coaching who play loads of Hex and Flex, and they do some cool switching actually against Clapham in that game, or kind of like flash poaching from like a bracketing setup. There's a super interesting bit anyway in that stream on Wednesday, and then Friday we got Justin back for the second part of this GB Germany game. Beyond that, there is a Rocket League charity event. Okay, so if you go to brightonultimate.co.uk, I'm helping run with Brighton Ultimate a Black Lives Matter fundraiser Rocket League tournament. Justin, do you know anyone in Clapham that plays Rocket League?
I do not actually.
Ooh, okay, well, there's quite a lot of people in various teams that have been in touch. I know that there's like a Pony and a DC Breeze. I know that they have players, so I'm hoping they're going to get themselves together and enter. But yeah, brightonultimate.co.uk. That tournament is going to happen in like one week, like just over 1 week. That weekend, we'll have like a bunch of games on Saturday, a bunch of games on Sunday. I'll be live streaming it. It should be a good time. Okay. Final thank you to you, Justin, for joining on the stream.
Thank you guys. Cheers.
And thank you everybody else for watching. Hope to see you in Discord in a minute. If not, then I'll see you again soon. And cut.
Oh, yeah.